whenever we go someplace now, I just save a little bit of money from each deal to just try to fly private. Like I said, I got 6 children.
What's that like for you? You gotta buy 6 seats wherever you go.
8 seats. 8 seats. It was rough, man. It was rough.
You know, what's the largest deal you've worked on? Largest deal. Everybody knows the largest. I know my largest deal. What's your largest deal? Yeah.
It was $423 million.
You don't have to tell me the number, but 6-figure, 7-figure payout?
It was a 7-figure payout.
7-figure payout. Wow. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. You know, people always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Entrepreneurs in Finance, where we explore the daily lives of CCTG graduates and the lenders that serve them. Don't forget to subscribe to our Commercial Capital Training Group YouTube channel, where you can see all the updates and new videos that are coming out weekly. This episode, I am very honored to speak with a graduate of our training, Jonathon Baldwin of Priority Commercial Lending. Hey, Jonathon.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm good. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to interview you. You know, we've had a lot of interesting people come through our training program with very diverse backgrounds from all walks of life. We've had CIA agents, we've had our ex-CIA agents, we've had police officers, we've had very, very successful people. But you're a little special. I want to say I believe you're the first ex-NFL player to come through our training. So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So that's a cool one. So when did you actually attend training? Do you remember? About 2 years ago?
Yeah, it was 2 years ago. I think it was the April training in 2018.
Okay. Yeah. April training in 2018. And, you know, we'll talk about everything that has transpired since, but how did you actually find CCTG? So, you know, you were obviously a terrific athlete in order to make it to the NFL. Who did you play for? And how long were you in the NFL? And then what led you to, or how did you even find CCTG?
Well, I played for the Chiefs. I was drafted in 2011, first-round draft pick to the Kansas City Chiefs. Played 2 seasons there. Then I went and played 2 seasons at San Francisco for the 49ers. And, you know, it was a great opportunity, a great chance for me to showcase my talent. You know, obviously, for me, I expected to have a Hall of Fame career, but injuries took me out a little bit earlier than what I expected. But in life, adversity strikes, and you got to figure it out, you know. So for me, once I got done playing in the NFL, I bought 2 senior care assistant living franchises, and I sold both of those franchises for over double the amount that I purchased them for. You know, I completely changed the aspect of those businesses, and it was great for me, you know. And I had been doing some contracting when I played in the NFL, but when I got out of the NFL, it was a little bit harder to do that because of the fact that I wasn't around the guys every day. And me knowing that they're playing, it's obviously going to be a little bit harder to communicate with them because me being the ex-player, I know the vigorous schedule that they have, and they may not be able to communicate as much. You know, that's what made me go and purchase the senior care assistant living franchises. And after I sold those, I wanted to build a gym. And I was fully in, had the contract in front of me. And then I just had an epiphany and started thinking how much time it would take me away from my kids. And, you know, me being a person that played in the NFL and how difficult the schedule can be as far as time with your family, you know, I just didn't want to get back into that when I had just got out of it, you know. So it's like a blessing in disguise. I told my wife, I don't want to do it. I don't think it's good because we'll have the kids in the gym. We'll raise kids in the gym, you know, and I coach youth football now. So I love being around the kids and helping them develop. you know, but I just didn't think that that would be the best thing for my kids' development. And I had twins, you know, I have 6 children. So I just knew that I didn't want to have to raise them in the gym, you know. So I told my wife I wanted to transition into back into finance. And I started looking at different places, and I came up on CCTG. And made a couple calls, and I talked to you guys, and I talked to my wife about it, and she said, if you think you can do it, I know that you can. Once I talked to a few different people in the department, I made the transition, and I started studying for the class.
Yeah. So you had already purchased the what was it, like a senior care franchise? Is that correct?
Yep, 2 of them. Yep.
You had purchased those while you were still playing, or after you retired?
I was still, like, in 2015. I was still playing.
Okay.
But I just felt that my knees just weren't getting back to where they were for me to have the explosion that made me be a first-round draft pick.
Right.
So I kind of knew that it was probably over, you know, and I didn't want to be one of those guys, because you see a lot of guys that careers are done and they keep trying and keep wasting money to try to come back, and it's just not – you're not going to be the player that you were. And
you're going to sacrifice your health too in those last years where you're trying to hang on, right? I would imagine.
Exactly. So for me, I'm like, look, I'm a smart guy. I can do anything I want to do. I mean, I've always been a top performer in anything that I've done in my life. You know, that's what I always wanted to do, you know, be the top at everything. A lot of people want to, but I could truly say my resume would speak for being one of the top guys in everything that I've done.
Yeah.
You know, not to be boisterous, but that's just
there's nothing wrong with being confident. No, yeah. Be confident. I mean, and, you know, I find that, you know, clearly your work ethic and, you know, your attitude, even coming into CCTG, but what you did prior speaks for itself, because, correct me if I'm wrong, but, and we used to do a little bit of lending to NFL players when I used to have a factoring company, you know, kind of an esoteric type lending. So I know a little bit, but correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of guys don't have the fortitude that I think you have, because they come in and they think they're going to last forever. And what's the average career? It's like a year and a half or 2 years, right? Because either you're hurt,
like 3.5 years. Yep.
Yeah. So, and a lot of guys don't plan for that. So I think a lot of guys come in, particularly first-round draft pick, right? And they get, is this their first exposure to some money, right? Some wealth. And then what happens is they only last maybe 2 years, and maybe they burn through that, and they didn't really set up a succession plan, right? They didn't invest, they didn't do this, buy real estate. But sound like you were already ahead of the curve. You kind of knew that going into it and kind of prepared, hey, if this shall happen, you know, I'm going to have some outside income coming in. So 'cause it's not going to last forever. So you're the rarity, I think. And maybe it's more now. I don't know, but I think you're the rarity.
Yeah, you'd be surprised, man. It's so many different athletes that you see that make so much money. But like you said, they truly think that it'll last forever, you know, and once they transition out of the game, they don't know what to do. Right. You know, they've done that. They've had people on their team to do everything for them, you know. So I always tried to stay in front of what I was doing. You know, I needed to be in the forefront of whatever processes that I had when I played. I needed to know what was going on, not just let somebody just do everything for me. And that's a product of how I was raised. You know, my dad made sure when I went to college that I was the one that was paying the bills. I didn't need to depend on nobody else, you know. So I was always on top of the things that I needed to do to be successful as I transitioned to something else in life. And when I got by myself, which college is the first exposure to you that you will have by yourself. So I just took all of those lessons that I learned and just try to transition to anything that I'm doing in life, and just have the same mindset that I had when I was training to be a professional athlete, or even a college athlete, you know, or a high school athlete. It's all the same goals, but just a different lane, pretty much.
Sure. And so you were already an entrepreneur in your own right, kind of when you were in the NFL and transitioning out of the NFL, and then you found us. Now, talk to me about that week you were here. Were you nervous? Were you like, the hell am I getting myself into? Were you excited? Did you have buyer's remorse in the beginning? Be honest. I mean, what were those emotions you were feeling?
Well, I tried to get as much information that I could study before I came,
Mm.
because I know when you're going into something new, I always transition it back to sports. When you first start a new team or you're doing something new that you're not accustomed to, it's fast. It's super fast.
Right.
So what I wanted to do is prepare for the speed of the class, So I tried to study as much of the lingo as possible. So when I hear it from you or one of the other lenders,
Right.
it wouldn't be something that I need to ask a question about. I probably already have an assumption of what it means and don't have to ask questions that I would feel would maybe pointless questions at that point. So I just studied a lot of the information, and what I didn't have, I just took notes. And if I needed to speak to one of the lenders, I would just speak to them out the class. But I don't want to be one of the guys that talk about all of the deals that they have. I'm sure you hear that a lot, all of the deals that people have. I never want to be that guy. So I just got the information that I needed. And if I did have a deal, which I did have a $750,000 bridge loan by Wednesday when we were speaking about bridge loans. And I think I may have spoke to you a little bit about that. But, so I just tried to study as much as possible. So I didn't have buyer's remorse or anything like that. I was just taking as much notes as I have. If I had a question, I would just save it for the end and speak to one of the lenders regarding that.
And so tell me, and I remember you asked you asked pretty intelligent questions when you were in class. I know you and I had some sidebars on some advice and things like that, but what did you think of what did you think of the pace compared to what you thought the pace would be going into it in terms of that week? Like how much information you were getting? Was it right on par what you expected, or was it just like, man, it's too fast? Like,
no, it was good. No, it was good. No,
Yeah.
I don't think it was too fast. I think if you go into a situation, I think that you need to prepare yourself, or it's going to be super fast. Like anything in life that you start new, that you don't have all of the knowledge, it's going to be a little bit fast. It's going to be fast.
Right.
So I felt pretty prepared for it. Some people weren't as prepared as me, and others were prepared or may have came from that type of background. So I was sitting next to Bill, who had been a person in finance. So I just used him as a mentor if I had some questions. I didn't want to interrupt because I didn't want to take away from the important information that we could get from the lenders, and get off track in 30 minutes talking about something that doesn't have to do with what we need to be learning. So I expected that. I was happy about it. Made a lot of great connections. So yeah, it was an awesome class.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, from my point of view, it's funny because there are some people that come in with deals already, but they don't know about the business. And, on Monday, they're busting my balls about, hey, we got this deal. Can you tell me? And I'm like, relax, let's just get through the training, because they're missing what's going on in the training and not even realizing that probably what they have is not a deal anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What you don't know is what you don't know. So, I appreciate that observation. So you went through class. Now tell me about that first week when you went home. Were you like, were you excited? Particularly when you kind of, everything opened up to you and you realized what your capabilities were?
Well, it's interesting because I heard what you should do and what you shouldn't do. But me being an athlete, I'm thinking like, look, I can do everything, know. So I was trying to do so much stuff at once, especially after I had the bridge loan.
Yeah.
In a way, it was going to close. Everything was done for that. So I'm like, look, if I could get this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. So I was trying to do so much things, and then after the first week, I said, look, I gotta listen to what Kris said. I gotta find my niche products that I want to market, and then really attack those. So the first week, I was up all night trying to do this. The leads were flying in. I'm trying to do so much stuff. And my wife said, you're gonna have gray hairs and the next week if you keep doing this. Like, you need to get some rest.
Yeah.
And then I kind of like formed into like my niche products and started having a lot of success doing that. I definitely went to the banks. I did what you said with going to the banks and
Bankers, turn downs.
making those connections with the banks. And, I still have a lot of referrals from the banks. Like Bank of America is like a huge like referral for me. Chase Bank is a great referral for me. So I use them, and I get a lot of leads from those banks to this day. And I have a lot of referral partners throughout the United States. And if I can't do the deal, if it's not within my niches, I just send it to them, and they obviously get their referral commission after the deal closes.
So tell me about that. What is the niche that you tell us what the niche that you kind of formed and went into? Concentrate.
Commercial, like multifamily, fix and flip.
Okay.
I'm heavy there because, like you said, to pay your bills, and those ones are the ones that don't take that much time, especially like fix and flip. Like you can, if I get an application in today and I get an appraisal and authorization form signed tomorrow, like an appraisal comes in 3 or 4 days, like we can fund the same day, so like a lot of my leads are like fix and flip leads because they're you might get $4,000 or $5,000, but if you're doing 20, 30 of those in 1 month, I mean, it adds up, and then in the big ones, you got those ones on the back end that may take a little bit more time, more due diligence, but at the same time, you're getting a substantial amount of income every single month from your niche products.
So, and you're correct. So I guess you have that athlete type of focus, right? I mean, you got out and you hyper focused, and you just went to town. And I remember, I think you won Rookie of the Year at our conference 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And I mean, man, when I talked to you and some of the numbers you were talking about and deals that you were doing, it was a no-brainer why you would win Rookie of the Year. But you want to talk to me about that first year and a half out of the gate, and you really took a rocket and shot out of the gate, I think. At one point you said you had hundreds of millions in the pipeline or something like that. If I remember correctly. So tell me about that first year and a half. I mean, you kicked ass.
And it just didn't, honestly, Chris, it just didn't even seem like it was real, to come from like what I started with playing football and then transitioning to senior care, where you pretty much know exactly what you're making every week based off the clients that you have.
Sure.
And then jumping into something completely new. And I just tried to manifest what I wanted out of CCTG and in my business, so it was.
And I'm going to stop you right there. That's one thing that I think a lot of people underestimate, because I do the same thing. That word you said, manifest. I believe in that. If you manifest something, and it may not happen immediately, but if you manifest something and you concentrate energy on that manifestation, it's going to happen one way. So you said, I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead. That's an important word, I think.
Yeah. So it was just like, this is what I want. I just got to do everything in my power to get to that. I wanted to make the type of income that I was making when I played football. I didn't want to from making one thing, and then I went to senior care, which is a good lucrative situation, but it's not the type of income that I was seeing with my checks in the NFL. So I said, look, this is what I want to do. The leads are live leads. They're good leads. I need to jump off the porch and do something I've never done, and trial and error, and I'll figure it out. You're speaking to people that worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I'm not worth hundreds of millions of dollars, but just to talk to those people and to understand and articulate the information that needs to be articulated so they can understand what my company can do for them as far as getting a lender that can fund their project. It was good. Obviously you have some growing pains, and you got some borrowers that are more like anal than others, but that's just the nature of the beast. And that's just anything you do. Is you always come across a couple of people that are bad apples, but at the same time you learn a lot from those. So
sure.
But it's been that year and a half, man. Last year, The first year it was good.
What'd you do? How many deals did you do? I mean, like total dollar amount of deals. Do you remember?
I can actually look it up, but I would say roughly I did probably in production like 210 million. I did like 210 million. I had some huge huge deals to add on to that number, but yeah, I did 210 million.
And I gotta tell you something. I mean, and I'll go on record as saying this. So your first year, you did $210 million worth of deals. I don't think anybody has ever done that much in the first year in the history of CCTG, going on 11 years. So,
oh yeah,
yeah. I think you take the cake for that one. And I just interviewed Terry Luker yesterday. He's one of the GOATs, at least in our little family, and he's his own lender now. And we were talking about that, but he didn't do 210 million in his first year. I can tell you that. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thanks.
Unbelievable. So let me ask you something. What do you think? I mean, you had a hell of a year the first year, and you've grown ever since. But what were some of your mistakes that first year? I mean, we could talk about successes, and we will. But what were some of your mistakes that maybe some people watching this, even existing grads, can learn from?
I would say the early on mistakes were you may get guys that want so much, and then it looks so good to me after having quick success.
Mm-hmm.
So I was taking it. I took a few of those and ran with them. Yep. And then when it come to the point where I needed proof of funds, I didn't have it. You know, they couldn't supply it, and they needed a cash event to happen. And the next.
So you had some clients that talked a big game, and it looked pretty on the outside, but the more you dug in, you realized they're not players. They can't make it happen.
Exactly. So for me, I think after that, I made sure that my referral partners and myself, when I'm dealing with the larger deals or large refinances or whatever the case may be, I made sure that we got the skin in the game. I got those bank statements, and I got the what liquid that they have to be able to supply to actually get the loan closed. You know, so that was important. After I had a few failures, more than a few failures early on, after I had some early success, you know, so that probably was my biggest mistake.
Mm-hmm. You're naive. I call it that gut instinct. You don't develop that gut instinct until you. I mean, maybe I could equate it this way, right? So, what position did you play? Were you wide receiver?
You're
receiver, right? So, it only takes you a couple times to get cracked real hard to know, what not to do, right? Like, you know what I mean? You develop that instinct of how to catch a ball, how to turn around, how to, reading defenses, right? And you read a defense wrong and you get whacked, and you'll feel that. But it's just like this. You gotta almost, the more deals you see, the better your instinct's going to get. And it sounds like you refined that instinct, saying, okay, I'm not going to waste my time on guys that say they got all this cash and they don't. Let's show some proof in the beginning to save everybody time. Would that be?
Yeah. Because like after a couple of times, I'm like, now we got to this point. Now is he going to have the funds? So I'm like, I'm not going to like lose sleep because I don't know tomorrow when I ask this guy to supply the proof of funds if he's going to have that.
Right.
So it just took a lot of pressure off of me once I made that process and let all my referral partners know that this is the process that we need to take. Once I send you these deals, you need to get the proof of funds immediately, and then we can move forward after that.
Now, did you attribute, or I know you and I had a conversation the last day of class. I remember this, and you said, hey, can I take you aside? Can I talk about, what should I do? What's kind of the game plan? And I kind of told you, I don't know if you remember, I gave you my opinion based on the world that you came from. Do you think being in the NFL and having some contacts and maybe knowing some former players, maybe even knowing some agents, did you utilize any of those contacts, and did that contribute to the success in your last couple of years, or did you find that just didn't, for whatever reason, didn't work out?
I definitely utilized my connections with the NFL. My agent, he actually has a football and basketball division.
Okay.
So I reached out to him and I told him, hey, this is what I can do. If you have somebody that's trying to purchase a home, use me as the person that do it. And I showed him the different products that I have, explained them to him so he wouldn't just be like, oh, you play sports, you don't know what you're talking about. So
Yeah,
sent them that information. And I've done a substantial amount of deals in the form of jumbo loans for a lot of basketball and football players. And I got a $3.35 million deal for a baseball player on a jumbo loan basis that I'm doing right now, and a $5 million loan for another baseball player.
Did you, I think when you and I talked, I kind of, and again, I don't know if it worked or not, but, it was kind of going out to those agents saying, and relaying the message to some of the new guys coming in saying, look, okay, you got some money now. Why don't you try to invest that? Meaning buy some real estate, buy a multifamily building, buy an apartment complex, create some different streams of income. Did you try to market yourself that way at all to kind of you being, look, if you want to buy a franchise or you want to open up a business or invest in real estate, I'm your guy to finance that for you?
Yeah, I did try to, but I feel like most of the most success I had was really just purchases of homes. A lot of those new guys, man, they don't really know, they're not really prepped, and they're young, so they just want to buy a house for themselves, buy a house for their mom, buy a car, those things. They're not really have their mindset where they want to actually invest their money into something else until they get with some people that could point them in a direction, or usually might take their second contract to have that knowledge to do that.
They don't do that. They don't take a course in the NFL like before you get there.
So you got the rookie symposium, but it just barely brushes on it. It really doesn't.
Wow.
You don't have people come in like you to tell them a smart thing to do with their money, to invest in the properties and think that we don't have that, and the rookie symposium really just tells you how much money you're going to get and the percentage that will be taken out of your checks, or how much will come off of your signing bonus. It's not really as detailed as it should be. It could be a lot better.
Here's the thing. They wouldn't listen to a guy like me. They listen to a guy like you.
They should, yeah.
You know what I mean? So has that been a goal? I mean, that would be my recommend. I don't know how, listen, it's easier said than done, but, and maybe you don't need to because you're very successful, but I mean, maybe if I were you, try to fight that battle and be that guy. Maybe every year at that rookie symposium, you're up there,
that's a great idea. Actually, I'm gonna call Rick. I'm gonna call my agent and I'm gonna tell him he need to get me a slot on the rookie symposium so I can speak to the guys.
Yeah, and what I envision is you're there behind a table. You got a thing up behind you, your company, and you crowd 25 rookie players in a room, and it's like straight talk with Jonathon Baldwin. Like, look, guys, model after me. I'm this brainstorm. I didn't even think about this until we were just having a conversation. Get 25 people in that room and straight talk with Jonathon Baldwin and say, look, guys, I'm like you. I'm a first-round draft pick. Here's my career. I thought I was going to go all the way to the top, but then, my knee started bothering me. Here's what you should start thinking about, right? And you don't sell, you just inform. Look, and I would create a whole brochure. We could even help you do it. Look, here's why you should invest in real estate. Here's the wealth you can get in real estate. So in 2 years, you blow your knees out. Now you got some income coming in, right? Or buy a franchise or do this. And by the way, at the very end, I'm the guy that could help you do that. Man, I think you could, and you could get, and plus for you'll have an easy client because they have liquidity at that point, right? May not have liquidity at the end of their career because the statistics about how many people go bankrupt. So that would be my advice to you. But yeah, I think that would be huge. Absolutely huge.
That's a great idea. I'm gonna call Rick and I'm gonna talk to Rick about that because that's I didn't think of it in that angle.
I'm sure they could fit you in. That's some angle in that symposium.
No, they can for sure.
Now tell me about the growth you've had the last couple of years. I mean, have you just been, what's the largest deal you've worked on? Largest deal. Everybody knows the largest. I know my largest deal. What's your largest deal?
My largest deal, I would say, I was in it with two other people. It was a new build, a development in New York. It's an infrastructure in New York. I could send you the infrastructure after this.
Yeah.
It was $423 million.
Wow, $423 million deal. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice.
Man, it was so much stuff to do with this deal, man. I many times it took 7 months to get done. Needed so much information. A new day, I need more information. I need this due diligence. This costs money. This costs money.
These big
I
deals.
thought that, yeah, I thought the deal was gonna be lost so many times, man. And
Sleepless nights.
yeah, I'm like, it's no way that this deal is going through. My wife was like, just relax. It's gonna work out.
Yeah.
But
It
I mean,
closed.
it closed. So I
And you
was involved.
you don't have to tell me the number, but 6-figure, 7-figure payout.
It was a 7-figure payout.
7-figure payout. Wow.
7-figure
Wow.
payout. So that a lot of the stuff I'm doing now, man, is adding to the things that I can do now. I take my family. We fly private sometimes to vacations if I want to do that.
Right.
Just for a smoother transition, because like I said, I got 6 children. So
What's that? Let me ask you something. What's that like when you take a plane? Because I know I got 2 children.
Oh,
and,
man.
Actually last before COVID, I was looking to go to Italy. I've been there many times. I was looking to go to Italy, and I was thinking about taking my family. And after I got done with looking at, and when I fly business, I fly first class. I have to, because I just want to be comfortable. But man, international first class is a lot different than United States first class in terms of amount of money. But when you take a whole family, it starts to be serious. So, like, what's that like for you? You gotta buy 6 seats wherever you go, or 7.
Yeah, man. It's 8 seats. 8 seats. So any vacation that we go on is like it's going to be expensive. It's really expensive. I took my kids we went to Dude Perfect. I took them to see I don't know if you know Dude Perfect, but they're the guys that they're like family. They went to college together, and they do a lot of different tricks, a lot of different tricks.
Okay. Yeah.
So I took my family to see them, man. It was rough, man. It was rough. My daughters are crying the whole time. The twins are crying the whole time. My sons are fighting, and they need this and they need that. And he's taking his phone.
And I can't even. I only got 2 of them, and you got 6. I can't even imagine what comes along with that, man.
Yeah. So whenever we go someplace now, I just save a little bit of money from each deal to just try to fly private, so I don't have to deal with it. Because everybody's looking at me like, you're not going to stop them from crying. It's hard.
Yeah.
It's tough, man. My daughters are 3, so they want the same exact stuff. If they don't have the same stuff, they're crying and saying.
You got to buy duplicate. Whatever you buy, you got to buy six of them now.
Literally. So it's fun, man. I'm a family oriented guy, so it's always interesting though when we don't fly private, which we don't fly private all the time, but it's awesome, man.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. That's incredible. I feel your pain. So, what's like on the horizon for you? I mean, where do you see yourself in 4 or 5 years? Where do you want to take what you've built so far? You have any goals or plateaus that you want to reach?
Oh yeah, for sure. Me and my wife, we want to build our own apartment complex, not just like 5-10 units. We want to, like, me and her, we want to do that ourselves with not anyone else involved, like a 100-unit
nice
apartment complex.
You want to you want to be like the developer of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I already tell people, you know the most important ingredient, because there's developers, but the problem is a lot of developers struggle with what? The financing.
Yeah.
You already know the financing, so that should make it a little bit easier to get into.
Exactly. And I have a HUD approved investor and borrower, so he'll be the one that does that when the time comes. But I just want to make sure I want to do it cash. I don't want to do it. I don't want to get a loan on it. Actually, to be honest with you, I want to just do it cash.
Cash. Okay.
So we have a fund where I'm saving the money and the price point that I think that it'll cost for the development. It's like $42 million. So we have a fund for that. And if it's lower than that, then that's you can add on and use that, but that money will go towards that apartment complex, but that's definitely something I want to do.
That's going to be you're in Arizona, correct?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
I want to actually do it less than 5 years, because Arizona is a booming market, and it's so much land out here to develop apartment complexes.
Okay.
So
Well,
that's definitely the number one goal that I want to do.
If I ever come out to Arizona, just let me stay at one of those apartments.
All right.
That's all I ask. You know, you got someone creeping behind you. I know you spoke to him a couple months ago. So we got Orlando Pace, Hall of Famer Orlando Pace came through training, and I appreciate you talking to him. That was a natural fit in terms of, he said he wanted to speak to somebody. So watch out. He's going to be coming hard. Not, I just mean in the business. I mean,
yeah. I talked to him. He's a very intelligent man, and I remember as a kid watching him. So when I seen him, I was like, is this the Orlando Pace that I used to watch?
Yeah.
So just talking to him, I told him now, I was like, man, I used to watch you when I was a kid, man. We just just talked sports for a little bit, and got into the business, and he asked me some questions, and I just gave him the answers that I could supply to the questions he had, and I'm glad he came. He came.
I appreciate you talking to him. I mean, for him, he's he has a lot of stuff going on. I think he already has a couple businesses that he's had for a while, and and he, it was funny talking to him after training. A funny quote I'll always remember from him. I called everybody after training, because now we're virtual now, right? I mean, we have virtual, and he's like, man, he goes, the common denominator that I saw when I got out of the NFL and I opened up businesses was capital. And he goes, there's so many guys I know that just the struggle is capital. So it made sense. But he goes, you know what? He goes, Kris, you talk about going through training is like drinking water through a fire hose. I go, yeah, that's how I explain it. And he goes, well, for me, he goes, I didn't even get to the fire hose. Like, for me, I felt like the fire truck backed up on me, drove over me, kept backing up, driving over me. He goes, so I didn't even get a chance to drink out of the fire hose. But he goes, he loved it, and he's kicking off. So
that's good. That's good. Yeah. When did he come? Which month did he come?
Let's see, Joe. What was he? 2 months ago.
Okay.
2 months ago. So, and now he's
see what he got going on.
Yeah. Maybe you guys can. He even said too. He goes, maybe we can collaborate. Meaning like you and him on something. If you got a deal or whatever. So I said a lot of our guys do. Believe it or not. When they leave class, it's hard when it's virtual. But as you know, when you're in class, you kind of develop friendships when you're here in person, and sometimes people collaborate with one another. To do a deal. So I encourage him to do that. So all right, now comes the time where I'm going to ask you some quirky questions. You ready? I mean, you're used to working under pressure, so here we go. All right, and you could ask me quirky questions too, but I'm gonna start off first. So all right, if you left the NFL. If you never found CCTG, what do you think you'd be doing right now?
I'd have probably just went in the direction of going to be a coach, like a college coach, NFL coach.
All right.
Yeah, that's 100%. I would have just been a coach.
If you could be anything other than the NFL star that you were, like a dream job, and I know you love what you do now, but anything else, what would it be? And
military.
You could automatically be it. Military, really? Wow. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Correct answer.
Wow. That's awesome. Yeah. For me, it'd be a race car driver for sure.
Oh, yeah.
Because I love cars. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember you saying that. Yeah.
If I could be an F1 driver, that would be my dream. If you could sit down with somebody, dead or alive, for like 3-4 hours and just pick their brain, anybody throughout history, dead or alive, who would it be?
I would have to go with my favorite athlete who passed away, unfortunately, not too long ago, Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant,
huge inspiration for me. So it would definitely be Kobe.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. My only Kobe Bryant story is this. I was in California and I was at a car event out there, a car rally, actually. A bunch of us get together every year. And I was driving around, and I had a Ferrari. I was driving around, and I got lost. And I ended up in this gated community, Now I was at the gate. I didn't get into the gated community, but I was doing a U-turn because I was driving around these mountains, and I turned around, and as I was turning around, this white Range Rover blacked out, came in, and I had tinted windows, and he rolled, and all of a sudden the window rolled down. It was Kobe Bryant.
Oh, shoot.
And I rolled down the window, and he goes, "Nice car, man," because he's a big car guy too. He literally said, "Nice car," and I looked at him. I said, "Thanks," and just rolled up the window. He went into the. I ended up in his development. That's I got lost and went up a road, and I was right at the gate, and I turned around, and he was coming in, and
Wow.
that's my.
That's awesome. That's
claim to
that's
fame.
ironic. That's
It is ironic. It is ironic, but so yeah, I'll always remember that. What's one thing that somebody normally wouldn't think about Jonathon Baldwin? Like, if they didn't know you, they didn't know you were in the NFL, what's some quirky thing that maybe you're into or that you do that none of us would normally know about you?
I don't know. I would probably just the meditation. I do meditation every morning. I wake up at 4 in the morning.
Transcendental?
Hmm?
The transcendental meditation?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
So I do that. I do that every morning. I wake up at 4 in the morning, and do my meditation and start my day. But that's how I started every day. Nobody would know that about me.
Has that helped you? Have you been doing it a long time?
Yeah, I've been doing it a while. Since I got to the NFL, I started doing it. Scott Pioli, who's a great friend of mine, who's my general manager that drafted me.
Mm-hmm.
Where I come from, he said, "Look, I'm from a place where it's not a good place, and what helped me is just meditation. So I started meditating and talking to somebody to just like different methods of meditation, because I do a lot of different stuff. So it just helps me stay even keel.
Focused.
Focused, exactly.
All right. You have any questions for me? Personal, business, anything whatsoever that pops in your mind? Don't worry, I got thick skin.
CCTG, how many this year, how many members have you had so far? Virtually or in person?
We've actually had our largest year to date.
Okay.
We've already surpassed our record of how many people have gone through training.
Wow.
I think by now we've had over 150 people, and that was 2 months ago.
Wow.
So, and the reason is, I think, because a lot of people are looking for virtual work at home businesses now, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that whole market is seeing a huge uptick. People don't want to go into an office, but also people now just don't. They realized, how screwed up. A lot of them lost jobs because they just got laid off. A couple big, large corporate companies are downsizing. So we're seeing a lot of people come into the market saying, "You know what, man, I'm not going to be subjected by the man anymore. Like, I'm not going to work for corporate. I want to kind of control my own destiny. This looks like a perfect opportunity. I could work from home." And, so we've seen a huge uptick. Plus, it's virtual. They could learn right from their home now.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually fly out here, which for me as an educator, it's tough because I like to interact, look you in the eye, engage. It's tough looking at a little camera like this and just talking and people chatting through, and we'll unmute people and things like that. But, we've had 30 people on calls, and it's for me, we've done the best that we can do with what we have to work with. But yeah, it's for me, it's very, very tough, but I'm getting used to it slowly. But you work out of your home though, right? Yeah. So, I mean, it works for you, right?
Yeah, it works.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, listen, Jonathon, I really want to thank you for taking the time. I know you're a busy dude and you're doing a lot of stuff. And I mean, hell, you got 6 kids. I mean, I don't know how the hell you even have time to work with 6 kids, but maybe that motivates you to work. I don't know. But,
yeah. I gotta work. I got a lot of kids, man. I got kids to put to college.
You got kids to feed for sure. Absolutely. Yeah. And taking those
airline
rides.
You don't want to know the Costco bill. You don't want to know the Costco bill.
4 figures? I guarantee it's 4 figures. Gotta be.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
Well, I do want to thank you. You're a really valued member of our, what we call our CCTG family. A lot of grads look up to you, believe it or not. I know you may not know that a lot, but I got guys that come in here and they say, you know what, we watched that video that Jonathon did for us, and we want to beat that. We want to, and that's a good thing. Competition is a good thing. So I really appreciate you, taking the time to do this and everything.
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me on. Appreciate you too.
Absolutely. All right, guys. So that's it for this episode of Entrepreneurs in Finance. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe to our Commercial Capital Training YouTube channel. We will see you on the next one. Thank you. There are just too many commercial loan brokers that don't have a damn clue of what they're doing. All we're trying to do here is better the industry for everybody. At the end of the day, you can make great money in this industry, but in the end, it's all about helping people. People always say, Kris, how can I be a successful broker? It's 2 words, hard work and dedication. If you don't like talking to people, you probably shouldn't be in this business.